On July 16, 1945, the world's most destructive weapon, known as the atomic bomb, was officially tested for the very first time, forever changing the course of human history. For the first time in human history, such a weapon had been deployed in the field that was going to change the world forever. The physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, who created this atomic bomb, had not the slightest idea that the weapon they built would change the course of history forever. The situation could be so incredibly terrifying and frightening for everyone involved. When they saw its complete destruction with their own eyes,
"Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
why and how did this atomic bomb bring Oppenheimer to the brink of destruction? Due to the effort of this person, America won the World War. But why did America ultimately disgrace and shame him in the whole world? Oppenheimer achieved many feats in his life, but in the annals of history, he will always be remembered and honored as the father of the atomic bomb for his groundbreaking scientific achievements and leadership. Born in 1904 and at the young age of just 18, his dream of becoming a chemist took him to Harvard. Upon his admission to the university, he unfortunately couldn't attend any classes for an entire year due to a serious illness. But despite this setback, he remarkably completed a 4-year degree in just 3 years. Alongside becoming a chemist, he had a strong interest in physics and conducted theoretical research at Göttingen University after graduating from Harvard. He completed his PhD at the young age of 23. By nature, he wasn't very sociable. He devoted the majority of his time and energy to his research endeavors, ensuring that they received the most of his undivided attention. He returned to the United States after an extended period abroad and fully immersed himself back into his dedicated research, striving diligently to achieve significant breakthroughs in his field. Until then, he had no connection whatsoever with atomic bombs. But then Hitler's reign began in Europe, and he turned a few German scientists into the world's most powerful weapons. Now comes the entry of Albert Einstein. Yes, Albert Einstein recognized the significant threat posed by Adolf Hitler and took action by writing a letter to American President Franklin D. Roosevelt stating, after reading Einstein's letter, the US President acted swiftly, ordering the military to initiate the atomic bomb research project. Known as the Manhattan Project, this famous initiative likely created atomic bombs because Albert Einstein wrote a key letter to the American president. Well, it should have happened that for the Manhattan Project, the collaborative efforts of scientists and engineers were instrumental in achieving the project's complex objectives and groundbreaking results. The US Army selected only Einstein because he was the one who wrote this letter to the American president. But that did not happen. Albert Einstein's background was originally rooted in Germany, and the US Army strongly suspected that perhaps Einstein was involved in something covert with them. For this reason, the leadership of Project Manhattan was handed over to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer largely agreed with Einstein's views. And they also wanted to make America an atomic superpower for their secret and important government project conducted in New Mexico. A whole city was built called Los Alamos. The US government began pouring vast amounts of money into the project. In 1945, a total of $2 billion was spent on this project. It was to become the most important and the most highly secret project in American history. However, keeping the secret was very challenging for the US military. In Los Alamos, a total of 13,000 workers worked on the Manhattan Project. These people were selected after thorough scrutiny. They were chosen so that no information about the project could reach the outside world. This included scientists, technicians, researchers, as well as lower-level staff. The staff members were also included in this directive. Everyone was clearly instructed not to tell anyone anything regarding the highly confidential project, not even their own immediate families. Here, no one knew each other by their real names. Everyone was given a fake name and the project site. The rule was that if anyone's real name was leaked, they would be punished. Letters were received here but at a fake address. That address was P.O. Box 1663, New Mexico. Even official letters did not mention the city name. The censor department here, in order to maintain strict censorship of incoming letters, first opened and thoroughly read all the letters before forwarding them onward. Similarly, letters sent from here were also read first. Strict security was maintained for entering the project site. All workers were required to obtain an official entry pass before they could access the premises, and without possessing an exit pass, leaving was entirely impossible. Even the birth certificates of children who were born in Los Alamos did not mention the city name. They included only unique identification codes. P.O. Box 1663 was written. All of this was done solely to prevent any small piece of information related to the atomic bomb from leaking. Prior to the initiation of the Oppenheimer-led Project Manhattan, the team had already conducted extensive research on nuclear fission. This is a specific type of chemical reaction in which atoms can be split apart, resulting in the generation of an excessive amount of energy being released. Uranium is the heaviest element found in nature. A single atom of uranium contains 92 protons. Additionally, uranium contains 146 neutrons, which when combined with its protons give the element a total atomic mass measured at 238. Scientists, after conducting numerous experiments and extensive research, concluded that if uranium-238 is present, when processed through a specific method, the raw material eventually yields uranium-235, which is an extremely unstable element. In other words, when a neutron collides directly with the newly developed uranium-235 isotope, it causes the uranium atom to split apart, producing an incredibly vast amount of energy. Upon splitting, new neutrons are released, which combine with other uranium-235 atoms. This reaction continues to repeat itself multiple times, and the entire chain reaction successfully completes within microseconds. The culmination of all these reactions results in a powerful shock wave and energy release that is observed in the form of an intense blast. When a nuclear bomb is compared to a standard TNT bomb, it would be like bringing a huge elephant and a tiny matchstick together, clearly demonstrating their immense disparity. Please understand that an atomic bomb weighing 1 kilogram has the same explosive power as a bomb containing 3,500 kilograms of TNT. That is, the little boy bomb which had scattered the ruins of Nagasaki. If America had to cause the same destruction with a TNT bomb, they would have to astonishingly drop 15 million kilograms of TNT bombs. This is so heavy that even today no ship can carry it. The primary drawback of employing uranium in atomic bombs was that uranium is a naturally occurring element, complicating its extraction and usage. And obviously it can only be mined in limited quantities. The researchers created a new element in competition with uranium, which was not natural and is more unstable than uranium-235. This element was plutonium-239. America was in a very hurry to complete Project Manhattan because on one hand World War II was ongoing. On the other hand, America was also at great risk that Germany might develop the atomic bomb before the United States did. Finally, on July 16, 1945, the world's first atomic bomb was fully ready, and it was the decisive moment signaling that it was time to officially test it. When it was detonated, seeing its magnitude, the whole world became terrified and fearful. Oppenheimer sighed deeply as he contemplated the consequences. The other scientists involved in this project also became fearful of this weapon. It was the first weapon that posed a threat to human civilization. Now that it had fallen into human hands, and without knowing what effects it could have on humanity, the consequences remained uncertain and potentially far-reaching, causing widespread concern. In just the next month, the United States carried out the use of atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In these two attacks, more than 25,000 people lost their lives. 6 days later, Japan laid down its arms before America. And that event marked the end of World War II, leading you to believe that because of Oppenheimer's notable achievements, the subsequent course of history was significantly altered. America would have been very pleased with them and would have awarded them the Nobel Prize. But that was not the case. Einstein initially expressed much regret, because due to this creation, millions of human lives had been lost. This incident had completely broken him inside, and he began to isolate himself from the world. If he had wanted, he could have shifted America's power elsewhere within minutes. For this reason, Oppenheimer has now proven to be a very delicate point for the US, and various American agencies have been actively assessing his national security impact. They started monitoring Oppenheimer closely, but then the very thing they had truly feared happened. In 1949, the Soviet Union, America's greatest enemy, suddenly detonated atomic bombs, startling the world. Technology had been leaked, but America had no idea where it came from. Suspicion fell on Oppenheimer because his girlfriend was also a member of the Communist Party, and his wife had previously been part of the Communist Party. America's Communist Party was closely tied with the Soviet Union. However, Oppenheimer himself had no interest in politics. The President of the United States instructed officials to conduct a cover-up regarding Oppenheimer and state secrets. An inquiry was launched accusing Oppenheimer of being a Soviet agent. He stood firm in his statements that he had no links to communism or the Soviets. There was no evidence against him, yet the decision was made against him. The powerful scientist held a high standing. By effectively tarnishing his personal and professional reputation, his security clearance along with all associated project rights were completely stripped away. Including Albert Einstein, the scientific community raised objections against this decision, but to no avail. For the next several years, Oppenheimer lived a quiet life away from government projects until nearly 7 years later in 1961. When John F. Kennedy was inaugurated as the American president, he offered Oppenheimer the opportunity to create a new free and fair tribunal through which his security clearance could be reinstated. But this time, Oppenheimer declined. John F. Kennedy knew beyond doubt that he was fully innocent, which is precisely why he ultimately decided to award Oppenheimer the United States' highest scientific award. But by that time, it had become too late to reverse the effects. Oppenheimer was diagnosed with cancer and he ultimately passed away in 1966. His ashes were scattered on a beach of the US Virgin Islands, which is now known as Oppenheimer Beach. We hope you all give this Zine TV video plenty of likes and shares. Thank you so much for your loving comments. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Stay tuned.